96% of the EIS, that's the teaching union's members, supported potential action on a 71% turnout. Let's speak now to the Scottish Conservative spokesman for Education and Skills, Stephen Kerr. Good morning.
Good morning, Lucy.
Do you support the teachers in going out on strike?
I have a lot of understanding for why the teachers feel the way they do. Absolutely, I do. But it's come to a sorry pass, hasn't it? When people that are as dedicated and professional as teachers feel that they have no resort other than to have this kind of a strike ballot and threaten this sort of action. And what I would say to the Cabinet Secretary for Education and Skills, Shirley-Ann Somerville, is it's time that she stepped up. I mean, she has been missing in action. It's 3 months since there's been any form of meaningful negotiation. And this tripart negotiation, including, of course, the Scottish Government, they have to step up. Shirley-Ann Somerville needs to show some leadership and some grip here, because my concern, as I'm sure it will be for your listeners, is for the young people of Scotland, for our children and young people, the pupils, who are going to suffer further disruption to their education on the back of the disruption that they suffered during the pandemic. So these are very concerning times.
And of course, it's not a situation unique to Scotland. In England and Wales, there's an ongoing ballot for strike action, and early indications anyway from previous ballots of union members is that they are in favour of such a move. What can the UK government do here? We're going to get this autumn statement next week from the Chancellor. What can they do here to support teachers?
Well, Lucy, if you forgive me, you're asking a question about the UK government. The question that we ought to be addressing is about the Scottish Government. The Scottish Government have had the largest block grant in history, the biggest increase in the block grant in history. And this is about political priorities. Now, I would say to you that the political priority of any Scottish government should be education and skills. We should be investing in our young people. We should be investing in skills, the uprating of skills, the upskilling, because this is about building a prosperous Scotland for tomorrow. Education is fully devolved. This is about this. I repeat again. This is about political priorities, and I would call upon Shirley-Ann Somerville and the SNP government to show some flexibility and creativity, get around the negotiating table with COSLA, with the teaching unions, and resolve this dispute. Remove the threat of further disruption to our children and young people's education.
Is there nothing that the UK government can do then next week in their autumn statement? They're powerless here.
Well, the UK government isn't at the table, Lucy. It's the Scottish government that's at the table. I'm interested that you've decided to focus on the UK government. This is a Scottish government matter. This is a matter that is germane to the responsibilities of the Scottish government and the Scottish Parliament. And as a Scottish parliamentarian, I am calling upon the Scottish government, Shirley-Ann Somerville, to get back on the playing field and to play a useful role. Now, this is a question of leadership and grip from the Education Secretary, and I'd like to see her take some action today to remove the threat of further disruption and to listen to the teachers.
Yep,
because they've obviously been pushed into a situation. Let's be frank, these teachers that are now threatening to go on strike, they're hard-working, they're dedicated. They've entered teaching as a profession and a vocation. They went above and beyond during the pandemic. And they are living with situations in the classroom, which I think also ought to be part of the focus of our discussion this morning. The threat at Bannerman High School, in Baillieston, at Northfield Academy in Aberdeen, teachers being threatened, and abused. These are real concerns that we should be addressing.
Okay, and we've got limited time with you. We've been through these issues, and we will speak to the Education Secretary after 8 o'clock.
Good.
Where would you suggest that she takes this from in her budget then? Does she take it away from the health budget? Where should she take it if she has to get creative and think about where she's going to take the money from? Where should the Scottish Government take the money from?
Well, Lucy, we've seen in the past how creative the Scottish Government can be when it comes to finding money to resolve these disputes. I mean, we've been through this. This is the latest iteration. There have been...
But they have been clear that any money to solve these disputes needs to come from somewhere else. So where would you suggest that she takes it from?
In the past, they've been able to find this. They've been able to find money when they needed to find money. And I repeat again, they have record amounts in terms of the block grant. They have a record level of budget. I know that there are inflationary difficulties. I know the business of government, Lucy, is about making political choices. And I'm just saying to you today, and calling on the SNP, and particularly Shirley-Ann Somerville, to give education and skills the priority it deserves. I mean, what we saw last week was a huge cut in education budgets for the coming year. And that's the wrong priority. Instead of constitutional games playing, I mean, why was Angus Robertson's budget? Not a penny of that was cut last week, but education was cut. Health was cut. Mental health was cut.
Stephen Kerr, given that we have very limited time with you, I just want to ask you about your views. We are in a situation where we're facing multiple strikes across the UK from different sectors. In principle, do you support the principle of workers being able to freely strike in this way?
Do I believe in the right to strike? In general, I do. Absolutely, I do. That is a fundamental. And over the years, Conservative governments have strengthened the legitimacy of strike action by the introduction of statutory ballots and so forth.
But at the moment, they're looking to bring in a situation where agency workers can step in strikes.
Well, there are some vital public services that we just cannot afford to.
Well, it would be in the case of the railways.
Strike action. Well, yeah, I mean, but this is a separate matter, if I may say so. I don't think there's any contingency in which we will be able to replace all of Scotland's teachers if they decide to go on strike later this month. And I think that should be the focus of our concern. I mean, I would say to you is that there are issues beyond pay that teachers have been speaking about forever. For example, education reform. I mean, there are 59 places on the Education Reform Delivery Board, Lucy, and only 3 of them are teachers. We've got to, and that is a subject. To our teachers.
Yeah, that is a subject that we'll cover in detail another time. Thank you very much for your time this morning, Stephen Kerr.